very redundant tonight. Professional standards for our structure. It doesn't matter if you're sending me a 12-page paper or you're sending me an email. It is business. This is not personal, it's business. Even in our electronic messages, right? I still want to see professional messaging. Complaints about email. One of the things I'll say that I hear other professors talk about, or in the workplace people talk about, is the number of emails that they receive. Everybody's inbox is overflowing. And I'm guessing yours probably is too. Is your inbox overflowing, students? Sorry, it's like, yes. So one of the things you can do with your email inbox, if it's overflowing, is set up rules. So you can Google it. It's really easy to do. But I have my inbox set up where if I get anything from TSU News, it goes into, it skips my inbox. It goes directly into a folder that I have set up for TSU News. If I get anything from Pearson, I have a textbook folder. Just skip the inbox, go over there. And then if I really need to check in what's going on, I can go to that box and kind of scroll through those things. But 9 times out of 10, I'm not even tapped in on it, and it's unnecessary for me. As faculty, every month they send out an email for free headshots. Every month, same email. Every month. I don't need to see that every month. I don't need to do a headshot every month. So I set up a rule. When this comes in, just put it in the admin folder, right? So if I ever think, oh, I need my headshots, I can just go in that folder and find the date. So think about setting up rules for yourself so that you can be more efficient. You don't want to get overwhelmed. You go to your inbox and there's 10 emails and 7 of them you don't need to do anything with, but you still have to look at them and process them. So go ahead and take care of that this week. That will save your life in so many ways. We're talking about most of those things. Email is blurring the line between work and leisure. It is, because let's say it's, even as a student, you should set boundaries. I want you to start practicing your self-care. Maybe you don't need to be sending emails or reading emails at 11 p.m. Maybe you need to have a cutoff time. At 8 o'clock, I'm done. At 7 o'clock, I'm done. Whatever day or time that is, set some boundaries around how people interact with you. Of course, as professors, we try to do the same thing. Even if a student sends me an email at 1 o'clock in the morning, that doesn't mean I have to respond to it. Likely I'm not checking email at 1 o'clock in the morning anyway. That's fine that they sent it. I don't mind sending it when you're working. But at the same time, don't also expect that I'm going to respond right back if you're in the middle of sending an email at 1 o'clock in the morning. I may be asleep. Messages are permanent and can be used in court. Please do not forget that anything written, whether it's social media, an email, group me, anywhere, just please don't think that, oh, I better just go in there and delete that. I had a student do that last semester. They had said some things and then they changed their mind about it, but I had already read it and I had already taken the screenshots. By the time they decided to go in and delete it all, it was too late. So anything that you put on social media, I see people put post and take down, or post this will be deleted later. What's the point? As soon as you say that, people are going to screenshot it. They already have it, right? If you don't want it there, don't put it there. Okay. Email is good if you do have multiple people you need to communicate with. Maybe if you need to send something to all your professors that you're going to be away from school, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Let's see what else is important here. Oh, so this first line, I added this. You guys know me. I have to add my own 2 cents in here. Writing for information in emails, your subject line. Your subject line is really important, more important than you may think. For example, you just said that your email inbox is a mess, right? Well, I said that. I said it's a mess. You didn't say it's a mess, but you say it's overwhelming and you get a lot of emails. But sometimes it can become just a mess, just a lot of things. You're trying to decipher, what do you need to respond to? What do you need to do? Well, what is helpful is when you send an email, use keywords such as action requested. When I worked for Caterpillar, I learned this, and it has served me well. If it is something that I need you to respond to immediately, or it's really important, like I need you to get to it, those are the first two words I'm going to put: action requested. Okay. That means I need to hear from you. So if someone's scanning their inbox and they see action requested, they're probably going to click on that one, right? So use keywords that are really, really going to get the person's attention. Or if something's just a reminder, then you can just put reminder. Okay, then that's not imperative that I look at this particular email right now. It's just a reminder for something. Okay. All right, I have something in the chat. Do you think a scheduled send is better instead of sending it at inopportune times, risking it not being seen? Now, that is a good point. I sometimes do that. If let's say I am working late, or let's say it's a weekend and I know someone else is possibly not working. If I send that email on Saturday morning and I know they're not going to check it until Monday, it's going to get lost in all the other email that they're going to get. So in those situations, I would wait to either send it Monday, or yes, I would go ahead and draft it, save it in my drafts, and then send it Monday, or I would schedule it. Now, I will tell you, as a business owner, my assistant has used that feature of scheduling things to go out. And guess what happens? Sometimes they actually don't send. I don't know why. But she'll say, I promise you, I scheduled it for 8 a.m. on Monday, and I don't know why it's not sending. I don't know why it didn't send. So that is a risk. So sometimes it's nice to schedule it, but you also would then have to follow up. So what I typically do is I'll write the draft. I'll just save it in my drafts. And then in my planner, which I've talked to you guys about all the time, having a good planner, I will write for Monday, send XYZ email. So that's just something to consider. Always, always, always use a greeting. Don't just send an email with, I know we're talking about being concise here, but still, good morning, Dr. Simmons. Good afternoon, Dr. Adai, whoever it is. Hello, hi, something. Give a greeting first and then jump into it. Okay. Just trying to see what else is here. Don't write if another channel, such as social media. Okay, so this is something to think about. Sometimes we send emails when it could be a phone call or a Zoom. So there was a student that I had last week, and since the beginning of the semester, he's been telling me that his his e-learn grade was not being updated. And I said, okay, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And there was all these emails back and forth, back and forth. And then I didn't hear from him for a couple of weeks. I thought everything was good. And then when I sent him an email saying, I don't have any grades for you for the whole semester, he says, yeah, I've been telling you that the whole semester. I've been telling you that my grades aren't updated. This is what he's saying in the email. I said, okay, well, let's get on a Zoom, because at this point, we need to talk face to face. I need to see your screen. You need to see my screen. I need to see what's going on. And once we did that, it was solved in 5 minutes. He wasn't using the right browser, even though we had been going back and forth in the emails. And that's okay. But sometimes if you notice that your point is not getting across after 2 emails and you're starting to get frustrated, to say, hey, let's jump on a call. All right. Before you forward something, make sure you have approval, or it may just be best to just start a new email with part of the message, because somebody did that to me today. They forwarded an email and they had this long discussion with this other person. And so I can see everything that they were talking about. I don't think they were thinking very clearly when they sent it. So just be careful about that. Resist humor and sarcasm in emails. because they don't always come across as you think they should. And there's a long list here, but the number one thing is please try not to respond when you're angry. Try not to respond to a text message. Try not to respond to a social media post. Try not to respond to an email when you're angry. That is the hardest thing in the world, because you're like, oh, I got a cake here. I'm going to use one of my phrases. I have a cake baked for you. The cake baked for this person. Okay. But try to resist the urge. Give yourself some time. Be the bigger person. Walk away. Walk away from the computer or the phone. Okay. So you can look through those. Those are some really good tips. All right. And I think that's, oh, no, it's not it. Thought that was the last one on there. Okay, those are the same. So this is in regard to instant messaging and text. I do want to make you aware of this. When you start working in corporate or in business, you will likely have an instant messaging service that you will use to communicate with your peers. Slack, has anyone heard of Slack? You can look it up, Google it, read some articles on it. Slack is a very common messaging system in organizations. I personally have not been able to really jump on the Slack bandwagon. And Chime. So there are several out there that are very, very popular, and people use them to communicate with their work colleagues. So just be careful about them, because even though they feel really informal, they're still formal. So still treat them as an email or any other memo. You also at work may use podcasts or wikis. You're familiar with what wikis are. Business podcasts are something they may use for you to learn some different materials. Wikipedia, but companies can have their own wiki inside the firewall, so internally on their intranet. Those are very common. Okay, so all right, so my previous job, all of the messages were saved using those apps. Yes, so those messages will be saved. So remember, anything you type, anything you say, even verbally, someone could be recording you. They likely are recording you. Cameras that you think are just cameras have audio, like the Ring doorbell, right? So they have audio built into them. So be careful. Just be careful. All right, let's see. Blogs are very common. You guys are familiar with blogs, so we don't really need to go all into that. Social media, networking, again, same rules apply. Be careful what you're posting. Okay. Inappropriate employee posts. So basically just keep it strictly business. Strictly business. And the last thing I'll say, and I think this is the last slide, the last thing I'll say is, when you start working in your career, you have to think about the fact that you will be a representative of that company. For example, I'm a representative of TSU. Does TSU own me? No. Am I my own person? Yes. But when I signed a contract to work for them, I agreed that I would uphold certain standards. So there are certain things that I have to be careful. And I mean, this is in line with who I am anyway. So it's not like I'm going to be doing something that I wouldn't, you guys know me. You've seen my social media, I'm sure. But I still have to be careful that, if there's some political stance that I want to take, that it doesn't at all reflect on TSU in a negative way, or that I'm just more careful about how I say things, because I would hate for someone to say, oh, she said this and she works. Oh, did you know she works at TSU? They would love to pin those things together. And the same thing would happen for you wherever you may decide to work, if you're a teacher or a doctor or a lawyer, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then you use your personal social media for a personal opinion. Remember, we talked about my personal opinion. But for your opinion, people read it and they see it. So it's just something to be really cautious about. All right.